What's up, people? Another episode of Just for Sports. Jumoke Davis here with you. We're going to talk about the NBA playoffs, my take on why there are several teams that should have buyers, or rather traders, remorse in the NBA. We'll talk about the continuing saga with the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers drama, Mason Rudolph under center. We just passed the Memorial Day weekend marker in Major League Baseball, and nothing's changed with my Orioles. And the Nats are kind of the same way. However, I've got somewhat of an anti-analytics take. Probably nothing new. And French Open. I missed my chance to do my gut check picks before it got started. As I always do, give you some sort of a gut check pick with the tennis. But I'm going to do it anyway because I can't believe that I forgot to do it. I'm watching the French Open. And you know what? I messed up as well because I should have just done a short video instead of saying, well, I'm going to wait for the pod. And that's my fault. But, hey, we do it just for sport. So, we're going to start with the National Basketball Association. And we've got a series now. As I'm recording this, Game 4 will be happening tonight. Pacers hosting the Knicks. And I kind of want the Knicks to win. Although I think the Pacers are the better team, and I picked them to win it all. I did. But if the Knicks win, we got a little more drama. Because we are, now at least, we're lacking drama in that other series. We really are. And I'll get to that. But I'm going to start with this right here. The Pacers, in my mind, have the pressure right now. Not the Knicks. My reason for that is because, one, Knicks have home court advantage. The Pacers, I'm not going to say they were gifted 2 road wins in New York, but that should not have happened. And you can't look a gift horse in the mouth. The New York Knicks failed. They failed to win a single game at home, and after game 1, they lost home court advantage. And if the Pacers don't win tonight and give it back to the Knicks, the Pacers are in big trouble. The Pacers are in big trouble because the one thing about this series that I thought about going into it is that I picked the Pacers because they had some gutsy wins in gutsy series previously, coming back down from 20 points, 14 points, yada, yada, yada. But the Knicks did the same thing with Boston. They were down in several of those games and came back to win it, came back to defeat the Boston Celtics, just like the Indiana Pacers beat the Cavaliers. So these two teams are both battle-tested. They are not scared or worried about their opponent and being down, and it showed in Game 3 with the Knicks. Karl Anthony Towns was phenomenal in the fourth quarter in Game 3, giving the Knicks the lead and having them hold on to the lead for most of the fourth quarter. I know the Pacers, I think they went up by 1 with like 4 minutes to go. But the Knicks came right back because they're fighters. Both teams are fighters. And the pressure's on Indiana to go up 3-1 in my mind. It really is. In the other series, it's over. It's over. And it's my fault, just like it may have been your fault for even discrediting Oklahoma City. Because I have not discredited Oklahoma City just now. I have been on Sam Presti when he got rid of Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Serge Ibaka. They got to the NBA Finals against the Miami Heat, and then Sam Presti blew it all up. Well, why? Because you didn't know if you wanted to pay Serge Ibaka versus James Harden, and that may have been very well because of the ownership group, but Oklahoma City has not been back here since then. I think they would have won an NBA championship in Oklahoma City if they had kept that core together, and they didn't. And so when you think about your window opening and closing quickly, that was Sam Presti. And now he's back with another phenomenal young core. Now, no. I'm not going to say they are at the level of Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden. No. But with Lou Dort, Chet Holmgren, J-Dub, the new J-Dub, not J-Dub like John Wall, but they've got some really good players on Oklahoma City. And they're simply better than Minnesota. And the funny thing is, the second I finished recording that last podcast, and at the very end I threw in how not only is Oklahoma City good on offense, but they are the stingiest defense. As soon as I said that in my head and I stopped and pressed record and I'm uploading everything, I was like, man, Oklahoma City's going to win this series. But I had to stick with what I said. I said Minnesota. So I wasn't going to backpedal. But immediately I said, Jumoke, you're wrong. Oklahoma City is going to prove you wrong, and they have. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has proven he's the MVP. He's been amazing. And I also said that Anthony Edwards needs to play like an MVP in SGA. And he simply can't do it. It may not be all his fault. I will give you that. There is a good chance that it really is just Oklahoma City's defense. Yes, there's a good chance that that's the case. But when you have a chance to tie the series and take it back to Oklahoma City with a chance to kind of turn the tables, because I think then the pressure goes on Oklahoma City in a little bit. You don't come away with only 13 field goals. After you said in game 2 you should have had more field goals. Attempts, excuse me. He only made 5 field goals. 16 points. That's no. You don't do that in an elimination game. Shai Gilgeous, he knew this was like close to elimination game. He's playing like an MVP. He scored 40 points. 40. I'm a man. Now, Minnesota's bench played amazing. Dante DiVincenzo, the childhood friend of Nickeil, I was about to mess up his name, Alexander Walker, 23 points, childhood friend of one SGA. And Naz Reid, only 11 points, but still, good bench production. You just can't do that if you're the starters. And that goes for Julius Randle, 5 points. Rudy Gobert, 13 points. Meanwhile, you have Chet Holmgren, 21. Jalen Williams, 34. SGA, 40. Your stars have to rise to the occasion. And he's not. And what I came to think about is we are talking about maturity. SGA's older by, I think, 2.5 years from Anthony Edwards. He's not ready. He's not there yet. That's the way I see it. And I think the series will be over. And you're going to see Oklahoma City in the NBA Finals. And I do think Oklahoma City will hoist the NBA trophy. I believe that they are that good. And I should have believed it from the beginning because they had the best record in the NBA. And I didn't. I didn't believe it. Not that I didn't want to believe it. It was just that I thought the age of Oklahoma City and the veteran presence of when I said the Clippers, when I said Denver, even when I said Minnesota, because I was thinking, well, they were there already. They got Rudy Gobert, a veteran, Naz Reid, Julius Randle. What was I thinking? Now, in the game tonight, the Pacers They're minus 3.5 going into the game. And if they win this, they're going to win the series. I think they may win it in New York. New York may be so despondent. But what I really wanted to get to is how many other teams should be despondent. I got to give a shout out to Chris Liotta for pushing me to bring this up as a topic. Now, first he talked about Jumoke, Oklahoma City, Indiana would be the greatest modern final for one reason. And I was like, well, what's that, Chris? It'll be the Paul George Bowl. Ding, 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 ding. Yes, it would be. Both of the teams were built from the trade of Paul George, playoff Pete. Indiana for Sabonis was flipped for Haliburton. The Clippers got SGA, right? Then he was traded to Oklahoma City after a season which I don't understand realistically how three of the teams have players on their team that could have been a core member of their past team. Haliburton in Sacramento. As I mentioned already, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with the Clippers. I mean, come on. What were you thinking? Like the thought of you actually having Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as the future. And I know you can say, well, we got there with James Harden and Paul George. No. You could have had SGA. Brunson. Dallas. Imagine if you had kept Brunson. I actually think that if you had traded Luka and kept Brunson, it may have been better for you. And yet the three of those teams are on the outside looking in as their young stars are lifting up their teams. Maybe they gave up on them way too early. Haliburton, we don't want him in Sacramento. Brunson, well, we got Luka, but you trade away Luka because you said you want to win now. Maybe if you had kept Brunson, you actually would be winning right now. Instead of Kyrie Irving, who went out due to injury for the rest of this season, and Anthony Davis, who was out a week after you traded for him. Or rather, traded away Luka. Clippers. You want to win now? Who's winning? All of those teams, you could be there. And you're not. Now, Anthony Edwards was drafted by Minnesota. Amazing. But I just found that to be really interesting when you think about the fact that three of these teams had given up on their superstars. Two of them played in the Olympics. SGA for Canada, Haliburton for USA. Brunson probably could have played for USA. I know that was a controversy that he didn't make the team. Cooper Flagg made the team. You think about how you never know what the next phase. I mean, when I talk about the Wizards, the fact that Nick Young and JaVale McGee have NBA championship rings and the Wizards were like, yeah, we don't need them. There's so many Wizards players. Ooh, I got to think about that for this season. Who on the SGA was on the Clippers? Excuse me, on SGA. Who on the Oklahoma City Thunder can we say is directly from the Washington Wizards to keep that streak going? I have to look at that. But the bottom line is these players were not left for dead, but they were like, we're good. And look where they are. Look where they are. You could have been there too. And now you're not. Now you're not. Speaking of somebody that I don't want to be there, let's talk about Aaron Rodgers coming to the Steelers. Come on, man. We can't do it. We can't do it. it is simply not worth it. And I'm saying that not realistically calling myself like I'm with the Steelers. I just can't buy it. I don't see it. Let's look at the last 2 seasons. QBR 48, rating 90.5. He was sacked 40 times, 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, passed for just over almost 3,900 yards, 63% completion rate. In the year before that, he played 1 game, and then what happened? What happened? He had a career injury. Now, here's my thing. I know what you're saying. I know you're going to talk about, well, Kirk Cousins, he didn't have a great year last year. I'll give you that. 18 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. He had a rating of 88, QBR 50, completion percentage of 66. Year before that, 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 103.8 rating, and 64 completion. Now, you know I don't like Kirk Cousins. I don't. But what I believe is that the future with Kirk Cousins for the Steelers is better than the future with Aaron Rodgers. What? Maybe you'll get a season. Maybe you'll get 2. Now, if you want to tank, okay. But you get Kirk Cousins at 36 versus a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers. Maybe that buys you 2 or 3 more seasons. That's what I'm saying. I know that they're talking about, Pat Fryermuth reported today, I love Mason Rudolph. He won us 3 games at the end of the season in 2023. Okay. But is Mason Rudolph the answer? Long term? No way. You know you'd never say that. You wouldn't. Kirk Cousins has a chance to be based on his past. Now, I know, well, what about based on Rodgers' past before that, where he won a Super Bowl? I just think the character of Aaron Rodgers is not the character of Pittsburgh, if you will, of the Steelers, if you will. They deserve better. The Steelers deserve better. To not be where we are in OTAs and still not have them at quarterback. I'd rather them go with Will Howard and Mason Rudolph. If you end up having a bad season, maybe in this next QB class, you end up with a top 5, 10 pick, and you can get someone better. That's what I'm thinking. I know whoever you are, you're going to have to, or whichever they take, look, because if you get Kirk Cousins, you're going to have to pick up some of that guaranteed money. But you know Aaron Rodgers isn't playing for league minimum. My guess is going to end up being around the same, what you have to pay Kirk and what you have to pay Aaron Rodgers. So why would you put yourself through that? There's just simply no reason to do that. There's just no reason to. There just isn't. There just isn't. Major League Baseball. There's no reason to think that the Baltimore Orioles are going to turn it around. I was joking the other day, thinking about how, well, the year the Nationals won the World Series, they were like 18-31, and they turned it around. But the Orioles, 14 games back of the Yankees at 19-34 when I record this, minus 92 run differential. They won 3 in a row, though. Maybe this is the beginning. When I was reading all of the reports of everybody saying, well, you know, what's your take on the MLB season now that we've reached Memorial Day? And that's like a marker where you can look at your team and are they good? Are they bad? Surprise, disappointment, etc., etc. The biggest disappointment is the Baltimore Orioles. We know that. They literally have won only 2 more games than the Chicago White Sox. Only 10 more games than the Colorado Rockies. And that's sad because no one is saying, well, I shouldn't say no one. Realistically, everybody thought the Rockies were going to be bad. So it's not like the Rockies are the biggest disappointment this season. No, it's the Orioles. That's who it is. It's the Orioles. And when I look at the rest of the league and my picks, I said Boston was going to win the AL East. They're 7.5 back. It's not looking good. They're dealing with injuries. 1 to a couple of players on my team, on my fantasy team, that is. Detroit Tigers sit atop the Central. I had Texas in the West. They're 4.5 game back of Seattle, which is somewhat of a surprise, but my sleeper was going to be the Athletics, and they're 1-9 in their last 10. I don't know what happened to them. I said Braves, they're 8.5 back of the Phillies. I said the Mets wouldn't make the playoffs, and they're 33-21. I had the Cubs, 33-21 as well, sitting atop the NL Central, and the Dodgers sit atop the West. But you got the Giants and Padres 2 games back, breathing on their necks, and the Diamondbacks 6 games back. But here's my thing. Analytics aren't always good. Look at the Orioles. They're just simply not able to get it done with a roster that's chock full of what everyone used to say was one of the better farm systems in Major League Baseball. Oh yeah, analytics. Analytics didn't have this. You know that. There's no way analytics had the Orioles as bad as they are. And that's what I'm going to say. I'm not going to debate you about, this analytics is good, this analytics is bad. All I'm simply going to say is sometimes it's an eye test. Sometimes it's basically just, hey, we need pitching, so sign the pitching. Corbin Burns isn't doing great with Arizona. Maybe he was never going to sign in Baltimore, but you knew you needed pitching. And maybe you relied too much on the analytics of the offense was going to be great. Gunnar Henderson, Jackson Holliday, Cedric Mullins, Adley Rauschman. Maybe. But they're doing bad. They're doing bad. And that's disappointing. And I also bring that up because, no, I don't think the Orioles are tanking, but that's the one silver lining that I had. It's okay if the Orioles have a bad season, they'll get another top draft pick. All right. And maybe that'll help the team. But I also recognize, unlike the NBA and the Wizards, one player can't make a difference. He just simply can't. And I'll tell you what. Let me tell you something. You think about the Wizards and everybody saying, they shouldn't have got the number 1 pick. That's what happens when they tank. But one player can make a difference in the NBA. And that parity can help an NBA team long term and in the short term. So if you are tanking, you're actually tanking to get better within, the NBA. That's really the only one you can say that. Cooper Flagg would have made a difference for the Wizards and any of the other teams that were down there with a chance to get the top 3 pick. Not Dallas. Dallas was already going to be decent with Kyrie and Anthony Davis. So one player can turn a franchise around. So it's the one time that I don't like tanking, but I'll give it to you if you're tanking to get better, to get back there. So one league where you can. One league where you can. I'm going to end it with French Open. And I really didn't have a dog in this fight. it kind of crept up on me. My bad. I think we're going to get Yannick Sinner. And realistically, you know I'm always rooting for Tiafoe. But I can't help but think that Carlos Alcaraz and Sinner are who we're going to see in the finals. And we know that. I don't know. I don't want to say there isn't parity in tennis, but that's where I'm leaning. On the women's side, can Sabalenka do it? Maybe. I know everybody's talking about this player Schneider, that everyone's just gung-ho for Schneider. Sorry, I'm doing a really poor job of remembering her last name. My apologies. Can Swiatek bounce back? I don't know. I don't know if she can. Sabalenka is playing the best tennis. Now I can't talk either. But I feel like, I just failed. I failed this year. And that's something that I normally don't do, is not have my picks ready. And I just didn't. And so realistically, when I was looking at it, I said, well, can golf come back and win it? Maybe. But realistically, I don't know. It's something that I feel like I'm losing my edge. My edge to remember tennis. But I will say a good gamble is Swiatek. To start the tournament, she was at plus 300. That's not a bad one to pick. Not bad at all. Coco Gauff, plus 500. I say take that. But Sabalenka looks good. I am watching the French Open. It's just I couldn't really put heads or tails of a winner. And I know I'm supposed to do a gut check pick. So my gut check pick was Alvarez and Sabalenka. And I was like, that seems like such a easy pick. But that's what I got. I'm enjoying the French Open. I'm going to watch. And let's see if they're the ones that hoist the trophy. And that'll do it for Just for Sport. I'm Jumoke Davis. Ciao for now.